Welcome back to the channel, guys. So my rear tail light, specifically on the right hand side, has been bugging me so much. There's a few LEDs out in it, so I thought we will use the old LEDs from that from this one here, the broken tail lights, and repair them. This is good because it'll show you how to obviously take out your tail lights and obviously take off the lenses in a manner that won't crack them or break them or anything like that. So you can see there's a couple of LED, well, there's about 4 LEDs out on that side there, and it's really bugging me. So this side is fine, but the other side is not. So we'll remove the tail light now. So in order to get the tail light, you need to go into the boot and remove the covering, the plastic fabric stuff that they've got there. I forget what it's called, but you've got one 10mm nut there, another one there. There's 5 in total. You've got 2 on the bottom corner, so 1 and 2 there, so 3 and 4, and then 1 up the top. Sorry for the crappy camera work, but 1 up the top just there, you'll see it right there. So 5 in total, 10mm nuts that you need to remove. So easy enough to do. This is another reason why I love these electric screwdrivers, is because it makes everything effortless. I've got a little socket on there, and basically I can just take them out. So you need 2 hands to remove your tail light. I tried to do it with 1, it didn't work, so sorry about that. Now's a good chance if you want to clean any of the debris that is hanging around there. Also gives you a good chance to have a look to see if there's any rust or any corrosion or anything like that. So easy enough to do, but we'll get started on obviously the lights now. Now what I wanted to test is, I tested the wiring in the car to make sure it worked. Now I'm just testing to see if it's the connection of these lights here, or whether or not it is the actual globes that have gone. I suspect it's the globes, and I was pretty much right on the money there. So just a 9-volt battery attached to it, just to check, and you can see there, yep, it's still got the 4 or 5 LEDs out at the top, which is annoying. So pretty much the plan from here is to obviously disassemble the headlight. That means removing the covering and also the moulding on the side, which is easy enough to do. It's just a bit tedious because you've got about 18 screws. Actually, I don't know if that's correct, but I think about between 13 and 15 screws. So make sure you put them somewhere safe, don't lose them, because you will need all of these screws again. And just be careful when you're taking them out that you don't thread them, or take off the actual thread that you put the screwdriver in. So that's easy enough to do. That's off now. I'm zooming through this stuff because obviously I want to make sure that I'm not boring you guys with you watching me have to take out the screws. So basically I've got a thick flathead screwdriver and a thin flathead screwdriver. I'm going to be using them to obviously pry out the lens. So you can see here I'm going around clockwise motions, also do counterclockwise, just with a heat gun on max power, and I'm going over it for probably about 30 seconds and then checking where the glue's at, and then obviously going back there and doing it over and over again. Don't rush this, because if you do try and pry it open and it's not ready to let go, you will crack the lens, and no one wants that to happen. So I'm just touching it here to make sure it's not getting too hot, because you can burn the lenses also. But yeah, as I said, make sure you just keep moving constantly, and don't rush the love. Let it come when it's ready to come, and it will happen, I promise you. So it's basically a case of just playing it by ear and feel, and just seeing when you can start getting some I guess some grip and the lens starts lifting up. So again, it's one of these things where you don't have to rush this. As I said, I felt like it was ready to come, but it probably wasn't, so I went back over it with the heat gun just to make sure I did everything I possibly could right. So that's off now. As you can see, it's fairly easy. There's 2 screws at the back holding in the LED panel, and 1 that basically connects it to the frame. Now the covering. Now my covering is broken on the right hand side, so basically I'm removing this screw for no reason, because that actually doesn't do anything. So there's 2 long screws that hold in the LED panel, into the lights. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you remove them, and then once that's obviously done, then you can move forward to the next step. Now when you take them out, this will just pop straight out. So once that's out, obviously you've got your tail lights there and the center parts missing from it. So what you want to do is you then want to remove the screws that hold in the panel. There was about 8 or 9 of them in this actual panel here. The one that we're putting on only has 4, so that's better, easier I mean. So as I said, I'm just going to be fast forwarding through a lot of this menial stuff that I'm doing, because I don't really think you want to see me removing 8 screws at a time. So that's out now. Now we'll check the old LED panel, but obviously going into the newer lights, and you can see everything lights up there. I've already done this on the old ones, so they're already ready to go. And basically it's a case of retrofitting it back to the housing. So because these were from the same company, it made it a lot easier, and in terms of obviously putting it back together. So you can see here I'm just retrofitting it back to the panel, and once that's done, obviously you want to inspect it and make sure that everything's where it's meant to be. You want to make sure the board's not bending or flexing, and make sure it's sitting flush against everything else. So once that's done, pop it back in. There's only really one way this can go in, and it sits flush, so you won't mess this up if you are doing this. But if you're trying to make your own LED lights, then obviously this will give you a guide as to how to take the lenses off your standard tail lights in order to start making them. Don't leave fingerprints on the chrome. It will drive you nuts if you do. So make sure you wipe everything down and make sure everything's clean when you reassemble it. So right now, obviously, I'm just popping back the screws in the back to hold the plate in. Hold the frame in for the panel. And once that's done, we're pretty much on the home stretch now, guys. It's not overly too difficult from here. Basically everything you've just done is the exact reversal. So put the panel back on, or put the lens back on, get your heat gun again and start heating up that glue in order to obviously melt it so you can pop the lens back on. Again, these lenses can really only go one way, but in saying that, make sure you double check your old light to make sure it's sitting exactly where it needs to be. So I'm just testing the light now. You know, I like to test things, so I'm testing it to make sure it works, because I'd hate to plug it back in and it not work, and we've just gone through all those steps in order to fix it, but it hasn't. So yeah, basically I'm just going over the light now with some hot air, trying to melt that glue again. Then once that's done, I will obviously grab that microfiber cloth and push down on it, because the lens will be too hot to touch. So once that's done, obviously you can push down on it and make sure it's firm, and then you basically have to just install it back into the car. So now's a good time to clean the debris. I would probably do this a bit better if I wasn't obviously filming. Really get in there and make sure I get everything gone. But now that that's done, all you need to do is realistically plug it back in, test that it's working when you plug it back in, and then put the bolts in, and away you go. You're pretty much done, which is exactly what I did. And as you can see there, we now have functioning working lights that are uniformed, which makes me happy, on both the right and the left side, which is great for me. And also when you're driving behind the car, I can imagine it would be quite annoying. So look, that's realistically the nuts and bolts of it, guys. It's easy enough to do if you're trying to make your own tail lights, or if you've got the similar issues and you want to get in there and try and have a crack at fixing them. It's all the same. So look, that's the before, and then here's the after. But in terms of everything, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everyone that watches and subscribes. I appreciate it. And as always, take care.